Hello, everyone. Hi, can you hear me? If you can hear me, please let me know in the chat. All right. So, again, if you guys can hear me, please let me know in the chat. I see Yurmi, I see Ramesh Kumar, I see Retro Spider. All right. So, let's wait for a couple more people to come and join us in this live. So, let me know where you guys are from. Please let me know in the chat. Where are you from? And, I encourage you guys to share this live with your friends, with your family, your fellow aspiring mangakas. You can share it in your Discord groups. You can share it in your WhatsApp groups. Okay. So I see Retro Spider is from Hungary. Welcome. I see Shin from Myanmar, PCS from Bangladesh, Dark Astriel from the US. Okay, cool. Ramesh Kumar from India. Nobody is from New York. Minus is from the UK. All right, perfect, perfect. Happy Gecko is from Scotland. Zigzag from Tunisia. Tangent from Germany. Okay, awesome, guys. Welcome. We're very international today. All right. So, again, please invite your friends, your family, your cousin, your sister, your brother, anyone, your neighbor, right? Like your coworker, people that you think would enjoy learning about how to create their very own manga. Let's spread the word, the love, the opportunity, and the knowledge to, like with fellow aspiring mangakas just like us. And I'm sure, like those people are gonna be really happy and appreciative that you guys told them about this free training. Okay? All right. So today, we're going to be learning the seven-step manga creation process used by pro Japanese mangakas. All right. So if you can relate to any of the things I'm about to say, please type "I'm struggling" in the chat. I've always wanted to create manga, but I feel like my art isn't good enough. My story isn't ready. I don't know how to properly put my ideas on paper. I feel alone and scared that I can't make it. Right, so I see Retro Spider said, "I'm struggling." All right, so thank you. Thank you for being honest, Retro Spider. So, again, guys, like, if you feel the same way, please share in the chat. Right. So Ramesh said, "I'm struggling." Shin said, "I'm struggling a lot." Mr. Berger said, "Professional struggler." Dark Astriel said, "I'm struggling." Okay. T444 said, they say even for the talented ones, chance of becoming a mangaka was 1%. Oh, interesting statistics, T444. I'm not sure where you got that, so kind of curious. But I see, a lot of people are struggling, and I just want to tell you guys that you are not alone in this journey. As you can see, there are a lot of aspiring mangakas just like you that are going through the same thing. And I also just want to tell you that you are definitely in the right place because today we are going to learn how to overcome all of this. By the end of this training, you're going to have an exact roadmap on how to create your first published manga. And here's what we're going to learn: the seven steps to create your first manga. First, we're going to learn ideation and planning. Next, writing. Next is visual design. Fourth is storyboarding. Fifth is pencil sketches. Next is inking. And then lastly, we're going to learn how to put the finishing touches and the shading. So we've broken down this process with the help of actual professionals. We've worked with pro-Japanese mangakas Naoyazawa and Renesaya, who have a combined experience of over 50 years in the pro manga industry. And they've done it all. They've won contests, worked with publishers, self-published. Yazawa Sensei actually has her own anime called Wedding Peach, and Rena Sensei is about to start a new manga serialization this year. We've also worked with pro webtoon artist Steph Pastrano. He's the main artist for an ongoing webtoon right now, and he also has his own online doujinshi. And we have worked with pro Viz Media mangaka Art Crumbs. They're currently working with the former editor-in-chief of Shonen Jump. So, guys, we have taught this process the last 3 years, and we've worked with over 400 beginner mangakas, and they have gone on to transform their journeys, just like our students, Steven, Max, Donovan. So, when we first worked with them, they had never made manga in their whole life. And at this point, Max has actually just joined the wordless manga competition that finished a couple of days ago. And Donovan has published 2 chapters in his series, and he also joined the wordless manga competition. We've also worked with our student Raven. When she came to us, like she wasn't confident in her art skills at all. And now she's actually finished her first one-shot manga, or our student Eduardo. So Eduardo has already self-published his manga, Cobra the Kid, on Manga Plus Creators, and he also just joined the silent manga audition like a month ago, right? So now we're here to share our insights and knowledge so you can finally create your first manga this 2025. Are you ready? If you are, please type "I'm ready" in the chat. All right, so let's see who's ready to create their first published manga. Okay, so I see Retro Spider. Wow, first to say I'm ready. Okay, perfect, perfect. I see Mangaka Krishna, Chocolate Bear. All right, Scarlet Itachi. Um, I'm so sorry. Like I think I cannot read like the words. I think this is maybe like Russian. Minus 1212. Dark Astral is where ready. Avery is ready. Shin is ready. Shahul is ready. Diego SSA. Hi. I hope you're ready. All right, guys. Oh, very, very exciting. So I'm glad you're all ready. So please settle in and stick around if you believe you have a unique story to share through your manga, but after years of working on it, you still don't have anything to show. Settle in and stick around if you feel lost and overwhelmed because you don't know where or how to get started. Settle in and stick around if you don't have the right skills like drawing, writing, storyboarding, and visual storytelling to properly put your ideas on paper. Settle in and stick around if you want to find the right mentorship so you can finally publish your manga, join manga contests, and eventually work with publishers. So, guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You can leave right now if you simply just want to learn to draw and improve your art and you don't necessarily want to make manga. Honestly, we're probably not the right people for this, right? Like we specialize in helping people make their manga, not becoming godlike illustrators, okay? You can leave right now if you're only going to listen, but don't take action afterwards. You can leave right now if you think you can learn and do everything by yourself through YouTube videos. I mean, if you believe this, then you don't need us, right? You can leave right now if you're not willing to commit and make a conscious effort to practice and make time for your manga. You know, you can leave right now if you give up easily when things don't go your way. And again, I'm going to be very honest here. We are doing this training because we want to try and make this easier, faster for you. But it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies. There will be moments where it's going to be hard. You're going to want to give up, right? Like, but we want to work with aspiring mangakas that are ready to overcome that with us, knowing that this is your ultimate goal. This is what you want to do. You want to make manga and you want to share your story with the world. So, for everyone that is still here with me, I just want to say congratulations. Please drop the clapping emoji in the chat section. Let's all celebrate your decision together. You choosing to stay with me in this free training tells me that you are ready to take action. You don't want to stay stuck in the exact same situation you came into this training with, right? Like struggling with your manga, feeling lost, feeling frustrated, feeling insecure, right? Like you're telling me that you finally want to empower yourself and finally create your first manga this 2025. This is the year for you and your manga. All right, so congratulations, Avery, Demon, Chocolate Bar, Art Boy, Shin, Dark Astriel, Diego SSA, Tetru Do, Soren Dark. Yes, guys, love it. Okay, so, please make sure to stick around until the very end so that you can learn how you can get personal mentorship with pro Japanese mangakas. All right? So before we continue, here's a little bit of info about us and why we're doing this free training. So, hi guys, my name is Trisha and I'm the owner of Learn to Draw Manga, as well as an online art brand called Artillery Philippines. Just like you, I love anime and manga. Because of my passion, I came to Japan in 2013 and have been living here since. So, hello from Tokyo. When I came to Japan, I saw so many opportunities for aspiring manga artists here, including the opportunity to learn. How? There, there are manga schools here. You can study at technical colleges for 2 to 4 years to learn how to draw manga. And, when I was younger, I loved anime, I loved manga, I loved drawing. But there were just no resources to learn how to make manga. I could only dream about it. And I thought it wasn't fair, seeing these manga schools. Just because I'm not from Japan, I don't have this kind of opportunity. And even though I was able to make it to Japan, I still couldn't afford it. So I wanted to make learning how to draw manga more accessible and affordable to aspiring manga artists around the world. That's why we're doing all of this right now. So we at Learn to Draw Manga, we want to empower each and every one of you. We want to help you go from stuck and struggling to confident and fulfilled by creating your first published one-shot manga. We want to help you overcome your self-doubt and perfectionism by learning the right skills and developing the right mindset so you can prove to yourself you can do this. You can make manga. If you believe this, please type, I'm ready to make manga. Say it loud, say it proud, everyone. Okay? All right, so who is ready to make manga? Okay, Jesse is ready. Sure, Shukor is ready. Shroob is ready. Retro Spider, Shin, Chocolate Bear. Yes, guys, I love it. Okay, say it again. Say it loud, say it proud, shout it out to the world. Okay, so, before we start making our very first manga, let's first talk about the number one beginner mangaka mistake that you need to avoid. Can you guess what it is? Let me know in the chat. What do you think it is? Like this number one beginner mangaka mistake. Okay? So, the very common beginner mistake is actually making your first manga too long and too complicated, especially when you have zero experience. All right. And I know, I know you guys had like some great guesses, paneling, fear of failure, over preparing, actually, like, this is all good stuff, guys, right? Like, but, this is the biggest thing that I think, like, we need to overcome first, right? And, you know, tell me if you can relate to any of this, okay? You've been developing your story for years or even decades with multiple characters, a lot of story building, lore, power systems, and you're just making it way too complicated. You feel like you have to create your magnum opus with 50, 60, 70, 1,000 or more chapters. You've started on multiple stories, right? You've been jumping around and you don't even have a single one out and finished. So again, guys, if you can relate to this, let me know in the chats, okay? Was I able to read your mind and guess your situation? Okay. So, Retro Spider said, yes, that's me. Okay. Raccoon Cube said, world building can be a trap. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Muhammad Saad said, yep, for sure. Mr. Burger said, me to a T. Okay, guys. See, I'm a mind reader, you know? I I knew what was happening, okay? Because this happens all the time. So, reality check, you need to focus. All right? Let me ask you this. What's the ideal number of chapters for a beginner? Do you know? Please drop your answer in the comments. Let's see. Let's see if you guys have been paying attention to our channel. Let's see if anyone knows the right answer for this. I'm really curious. Okay, so Jesse said 10. All right. Tengi said one. Okay. Let's see. Chocolate Bear said one. Yurio said one. Okay, okay. So I think like there are a couple of people that got it right. Yes. So guys, you just need one chapter first. Okay. You have to learn how to make a one shot. And a lot of pro mangakas actually get a breakthrough manga contest. You know what they require? A one shot. A lot of publishers also commission just one chapter until they get reader survey results. The popular one shots get a serialization. All right? So I want you to compare manga to a TV series. There's one pilot episode. If that does well, then you get one season. If that one season is successful, then you get more seasons, right? So it's the same with manga. Like the most popular manga actually had pilot chapters. So, for example, Naruto, Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan. This is what they all look like. And they all look so different from the Naruto, Dragon Ball, and Attack on Titan that we know and love today. Correct? So, do not obsess over the details of your one shot. I know so many of you here want to have an actual manga series. Once your one shot is approved for a serialization, That's when you work with an editor to improve the details. Like, for example, here's the early design of Naruto in the pilot chapter. He had goggles on, you know. Um, he had boots on. It was slightly different. He had a bag. There were even guns in the original Naruto pilot. Obviously, we don't see guns now, right? There was even this like really strange, fox ninjutsu that never made it to the serialized version. Here's a comparison of what Titans looked like in the pilot versus what Titans looked like in the serialization, right? Like this came from the very first chapter of the serialized Attack on Titan. It looks so different. And you notice that the art actually looks very crude, right? Like it doesn't look as good. So again, you will have your chance to improve your art, your story, and your characters once you're ready for serialization. So do not aim for perfection right now. Okay, so next question. What's the ideal number of pages for your one shot? Drop your answer in the comments. All right, let's see. Again, I wonder who's been paying attention to the channel. Okay, so I see Chocolate Bear said 16. Mike Gaming said 15 to 20 pages. Shin said 16. Okay. All right, guys. Good, good. It seems like a lot of people have been paying attention to the channel. So you actually just want to start with 16 to 20 pages. Do you think that's too short? Let me know in the comments. All right. So according to our pro mangaka mentor, Nao Yazawa, you can forget about becoming a pro mangaka if you cannot tell a good story in 16 to 20 pages. The average number of pages for one chapter in Shonen Jump is 20 pages. So in that amount of pages, you need to hook your readers and make them want more. All right? So now, I want you to imagine this scenario. Let's say you have a friend who's been watching basketball for years. Sometimes they would play casually with friends, but they've never participated in a serious basketball tournament ever. And they keep telling you, I'm going to be drafted into the NBA someday. And they tell you this every time you meet. They tell everyone, their friends, their family. Would you actually believe they can do it? Honestly, right? Yes or no? Would you believe them if they were like this? Just Ahmed said, nah. Art Boy said, no. Nah, no. Okay. All right. People are saying no. Okay. Not really. No, sadly. Right? Like never. Okay. Mike Gaming said, yes, I would, but I recommend practice first. Okay. So, yes, when hell freezes over. So, guys, right? Like, let's be very honest. This is us. When we tell people, I'm going to make the next One Piece, I'm going to make the next Dragon Ball Z, and we've never even made a one shot before. We haven't even finished 16 to 20 pages, right? So, do you think, people would believe us if we told them, yeah, I'm going to be an amazing mangaka one day, when we have nothing to show? Right? So, again, we don't want to be this friend, right? Like we don't want to be this person. So do not overwhelm yourself with an impossible task of making a 100 chapter manga on your first try. Like what you guys said, you would recommend that friend to practice first. So this is how we practice. We start with a standalone one shot with 16 to 20 pages. We don't go to the NBA overnight, okay? This is where we start. Make sense? Okay, so if this makes sense, let me know in the chat, okay? So now let's learn the 7 steps to create your very first one-shot manga. Step 1, ideation. So according to our pro mangaka mentor, Renasaya, the most challenging part of being a mangaka is coming up with good ideas. So we have a formula that you can use, to brainstorm. So all you need to do is just fill in the blanks. What if subject plus verb? So for example, what if a teenage boy who's a martial arts prodigy turns into a girl when exposed to cold water and turns back into a boy when exposed to hot water? All right, so who knows which anime slash manga is this? Right, like let me know. Like, let me know who knows. Please write it down in the chat. Okay, so I see a couple of people are like actually know which one this is. It's Ranma, one half. Okay, so for those of you that know Ranma, maybe maybe we're in the same generation. So yes, it's Ranma one half, and this was actually made by the same creator as Inuyasha, right? So now, like let's take that same subject and change the verb. What if a boy who's a martial arts prodigy finds 7 power stones? All right, so now can you guess which anime slash manga this is? Right? Let me know in the chat. Can you guess just from this? Okay, so wow, guys. Oh, you guys know your anime and manga. So Sophia said Dragon Ball. Okay, good job. Right? So again, very easy, right? You can mix and match whatever subject and verb that you want, and then you can come up with really cool ideas. So what we recommend is that you come up maybe with like 20 different ideas. Just write it all down. And then you read it again, and then you cross out the ones that don't sound as exciting. Like from 20, you bring it down to 10, you bring it down to 5, you bring it down to 3, and then you pick, like your favorite one. All right. So, try that out. Next step, identify your target audience. So, if you want to be a pro mangaka, you need to learn to create a story that an audience would enjoy, not just you or your family and friends. Because let's face it, like a lot of our family and friends are going to say, it's awesome, like they're going to be nice and like try to spare our feelings. So, if you want to be a professional, you need to get a complete stranger to actually like your work. And, if you want to get published in Shonen Jump, then your target is young boys. If you want to if you want to feature more mature themes in your story, then your target should be over 18, right? And maybe you want to create like a seinen manga like Monster or Berserk or Vagabond. And of course, these tones are very different from Naruto or Dragon Ball, right? Let me ask you this. What do you call it when you want to draw for everyone? Well, we call it a recipe for disaster. So, guys, you cannot please everyone. Your manga cannot be the manga for everyone, okay? I mean, One Piece is the most popular manga in the world, but it still has haters, right? So you just cannot please everyone. So don't even try, all right? Just pick your target audience and then make sure that they like it. Next step, pick a genre and themes for your story. So there are a lot of different genres out there. Action, adventure, romance, comedy, fantasy, sci-fi, sports, history, horror, furries. So you can give your story a unique twist by combining interesting elements together. For example, if you combine shonen, adventure, martial arts, and Chinese folklore, then you get Dragon Ball Z, right? So mix and match. Also, you want to consider what message do you want to convey with your manga? What do you want your readers to feel after reading your story? If after they read your story, they still think about it. They go to sleep thinking about your characters, thinking about that ending, thinking about how they felt. That means you've made a great story. But if you made a manga and then by the next day your readers don't even remember it, then that means it just wasn't strong enough. That's the reality. Okay, so now let's talk about step two, writing. The first step in writing is creating a one sentence pitch. This is called a log line. So imagine you're in an elevator with an editor from Shonen Jump. Let's say you went to some kind of like Comic Con and the editor of Shonen Jump was their special guest. And when you walk into the elevator, you're there alone with them. And you literally just have 30 seconds to sell them your story. So, how do you do it? You can't just ramble. You need to have that one sentence pitch ready. And it has to be exciting. All right. So, here's an example of a one sentence pitch. Let's see if you can guess like which manga this is. After an orphaned high school girl discovers that her classmates are cursed to transform into animals of the Chinese zodiac, she helps them break the curse while finding her own place in the world. Right, so do you know? Do you know which manga slash anime this is? Okay, so I see Hidden Yokai was the first to answer. Fruits Basket. Yes, exactly. All right. So congratulations to the people who got it right. We have the same taste in anime and manga. Okay. So, once you have your pitch, your log line ready, now you have to answer your five W's and one H question. Your who, what, when, where, why, and how. Who is your main character? What is their goal? When does this happen? The 21st century? Year 3000? Where does this happen? Japan? The US? You're like a totally different planet? Why does the MC need to hit their goals? Right? What's at stake here? And how does the MC hit their goal? Right? So once you have this, the next step is to create a plot. A plot is a written summary of your story to help you visualize your scenes. If you're making a manga with 16 pages, you just need a one-page plot summary. If you add dialogues, then you might end up with 2 pages, right? Don't make your plot too long, all right? Like I have heard people working on scripts that are 50, 60, like 100 pages, guys. Like, no, like we don't want to put too much time into this because we actually want to get into making the manga, not just writing scripts, all right? So to create a compelling plot, you need these four storytelling elements. Ki, sho, ten, ketsu. Ki means introduction, sho means development, ten means climax, and ketsu means resolution. So this is a very common storytelling framework in Japanese manga. And this is also why Japanese manga, the stories there are very different from Western comic books, right? So it's a very unique storytelling framework. And you need to decide how many pages are you going to dedicate to each element? I mean, if you have 16 pages, are you going to dedicate 4 pages to the introduction, 4 pages to the development, 4 pages to the climax, 4 pages to the resolution? If so, then how are you going to pace your story so you can allot the right amount of pages for each section, right? So this needs planning, all right? You don't just keep drawing as you go, okay? Like that is, again, also a recipe for disaster. Next step is our visual design. And there are 2 steps to this, right? You have your character design and your setting design. So like we'll put this as optional, right? Like you don't have to dive in too much into setting design. So for character design, there are actually, like 3 levels to this. And I want to share first what happened when we asked our students to design their own original characters. At that point, we didn't tell them anything. We didn't teach them anything. We just literally told them, okay, can you please design your own original characters? Give us the best that you got. And these are some of the designs that they came up with. And, like, it was great, to be honest. Like, there were some really cool designs there. Like, some people really tried to wow us. We were quite impressed. But when our pro mangaka mentors ask our students, why? Why did you draw your character like this? Why is the costume like this? Why is this the color palette? You know what they said? Oh, it looks cool. Yeah, it looks nice. Yeah, like I didn't really think that much. I didn't get really into it. I think it just looked good. So a lot of them didn't really know why. A lot of them had very surface level answers. They just wanted to make their manga characters cool. So, again, there are three levels to character design. First level is visual design. Second level is the features, and the third most crucial level is the essence of your character. So a lot of you guys have probably gotten to the first level, right? Like visual design. I know you guys want to improve your art skills, right? Like so that you can actually make great manga. And quite a few beginner mangakas actually also get to level two, the features, right? And features, think of this as your character's resume. This is what you usually see in a character profile. And here's an example on the right. This is from JoJo, right? So we have the information of Joseph Joestar here, like their birthday, their height, weight, blood type, information about their family, their school, their hobby, etc. Right? Like so a lot of you guys probably already have this fleshed out in your head for your original characters, right? And again, like the problem is that a lot of beginner mangakas only stop here. But it's actually not enough to create a truly memorable character. To get there, you need to learn how to develop the essence of your character. Who is your character as a person? Okay, you know what? Like, before we go into like that question, um, I want you to think of one of your OCs, right? Like imagine one of your OCs in your head right now and type the name of your OC in the chat. All right. Because, like, I want to make sure that you are thinking of a specific OC. If you have a lot of OCs, just pick one, right? Like the favorite OC that you have, the one that you've developed the most, right? Like, the one that feels like your favorite child. um, for people who don't have an OC yet, just think about your favorite anime or manga character. All right. So let's do this activity together. So I see Dark Astriel has Link, Final Agent has Hella, Mike Gaming has Mike J, all right? Rhino has Maru. All right. Hi, Rhino. I've spoken to Rhino before. I'm glad to see you here. Right. Desmond has Desmond. All right, guys, like I see Incredulous has Nozomi. Okay, very cool. We have Vlalux. Vlax has Zoe, Hidden Yokai has Kiro. Okay, good, good. All right. So now that you have your OC in your head, right? Let me ask you this. If your OC saw an old lady trying to cross a busy street, what would they do? Let me know in the chat. And please be as specific as you can. Okay? Like, what would they do? All right. So Art Boy said, help her. Let me ask you, help her how? Chocolate Bear also said, help. Vlog said, help. Cold Fire Boy said, help. Like, but help her how? Okay. So 3L said, Mine would want to, but would be afraid due to consequences for helping a specific species. Oh, very interesting. Okay. So now, that gives me a little bit of background in the whole, like the whole world, the rules of the world now, 3L. Oh, great. So Shukor said, take her and fly across the road. Wow. Okay. So now I know that Shukor's OC has superpowers, right? Like it's unless, in this world, everyone can actually fly. So Art Boy said, help her walk across the street. But how? How are they gonna help her? You know, like are they gonna go straight to that old lady without a single hesitation and then just like hold her hand and walk her across the street? Or are they going to run in front of like the cars and then make sure to like block the cars while the old lady is crossing the street? Right? So, like each of your OCs are gonna do different things, right? Like, for example, Mike said, depends on his mood, right? Like, so he might help her cross the street by lifting her up and walking through the street, right? Again, depends on this character and how they're feeling, right? They're not the type who'll just like do it naturally, right? Like, I gotta be in the right mood. So, let's try, for example, Naruto, right? Like, what would the characters in Naruto do in this situation? For example, Naruto is the type of character that would carry this old lady on his back and then help her cross the street. Sakura would probably hold her hand and guide her to cross the street. Sasuke would totally ignore. Right? He's just way too cool for that. Got no time. Not my problem. Right? So, yeah, Sophia said as well, my Aiden would push the grandma, but never help her. So, exactly. Right? Like, just like how maybe you and I would have a different reaction to this same situation, each of your characters in your story would also have a different reaction, right? So you have to know them to that level. According to Yazawa sensei, designing characters is literally imagining and creating a person with a history, relationships, goals, and motivations, fears, and struggles that shape their entire personality, right? So just think about your favorite anime and manga characters. They mean so much to you, not just because they look cool, but because you love their story. You love what they did in a specific situation. Maybe you love the decisions that they made. Maybe they were really heartbreaking. You love what they said, right, in a difficult situation. So, you know, if like you put in this much effort, right? Like to fanboy, fangirl, like on your favorite anime and manga character, then your own OC also deserves that kind of love and attention. All right. And, if you want your readers to love your character, then you have to make sure that this is well thought out. Yes. So now let's talk about setting design, right? Like, so, if there are specific areas, locations in your story that keeps popping up in your manga, then you can actually create a couple of sketches for the design. Let's say, for example, what does your character's room look like? We've seen a couple of people that made manga and like let's say the bed is on the right side of the room in one panel and then suddenly it's on the left side of the bed, right? Like there's no consistency. So if you actually create some of these designs beforehand, then you also have your own reference to look at. If you have a fictional world as your setting, you can also create rough sketches. And if in the future you want to work with an editor, then these rough sketches of your fictional world will be really useful because now your editor would also have like a visual of what your world looks like. Next, let's talk about storyboarding. So let me ask you guys this first. Are you guilty of skipping storyboarding and just drawing pages as you go? If you're guilty, please let me know in the chat. If you're not guilty, also let me know in the chat, all right? Because like I want to acknowledge you. I want to say congratulations to those people that are actually storyboarding properly. All right. So Art Boy is guilty. Incredulous. Nuh-uh. Beer bottles. Nope. Jamont loss. No. Okay. All right. So, I see like quite a bit of a divide here. Some people are guilty. Some people are actually doing their storyboards. All right. So, congratulations to everyone that are properly doing their storyboards. Okay. This is a great step. For those of you that are guilty, again, this is a reminder, right? Like, do not skip your storyboards because you're more likely to end up with a poorly planned manga. You know, your storyboard is like a blueprint for a house. Imagine you create a house without a blueprint and you just construct the house as you go. And then at the end, you realize, oh my gosh, there's a missing door. I can't go inside my bedroom, right? Like something went wrong. And imagine if your editor only gave you 20 pages for your chapter, and then, you already made 20 chapters, and you're like, oh crap. I don't have enough pages to finish this chapter. Like, what am I gonna do? Now you gotta go back to the storyboard, right? Like, there has to be way more editing done. So in Japanese, a storyboard is called a name. And there's an art to visual storytelling. Your name will provide you with an overview of the whole flow of your story. Imagine watching a movie. You just sit, watch, and everything flows naturally, right? It's the same with manga. Your reader's eyes have to glide through your panels and pages without them even thinking. I mean, here's a sample spread from My Hero. And let's look, like how our eyes just kind of glide through this. We enter from the speech bubble on the top right. We go down looking at Deku's face, speech bubble again, right? And then we see this larger panel that goes across the spread. We go down to the speech bubble. We look at the characters, speech bubble again, and then we enter, right? Like here, we read the sound effects, we look at the characters, then speech bubbles, right? Like, so again, it's a very, very smooth flow, and then you exit, right? And then you need to turn the page. So here's a sample manga from a beginner mangaka. This is Fire Sakura by CTXNS. So what do you notice about, like this beginner manga? Let me know in the chat, right? So yeah, like what you see can be areas of improvement, right? Like, do you notice anything different compared to that previous spread that we just saw from My Hero? Okay. So, Incredulous said yon comma panels. Okay. Hidden said, okay, not a very good flow. Tengiz said it just has one angle. All right. Looks kind of flat. The panel organization is a problem. Okay. It's a little bit bland, right? So, okay, guys. So exactly like what you said, right? So there's lots of headshots and bust shots. It's all very similar angles and perspective. That's why it looks very, very flat. It's all like front facing or just side view. Um, there's redundant paneling, and there's a lot of heavy reliance on the dialogue to drive the story, right? Like instead of the visuals actually telling the story, right? Like it's the dialogue that moves it forward. And the thing is, like this is very common in beginner manga. And let's be honest. Let's be very, very honest. You guys might be guilty of this too. So Let me remind you, show, don't tell. One of the things that sets Japanese manga apart from Western comics is that there's not a lot of dialogue. If you've ever tried to read Western comics, you notice there's dialogue upon dialogue, right? And, like the visuals are already so obvious, but, like they just still have to say out loud what they're doing. But in manga, the illustrations, the visual storytelling, it speaks for itself. So when you watch a movie, aren't there different scenes? There's long shots, mid shots, close up shots, fight scenes, emotional scenes. It's the same with manga. Think of yourself as a director for your manga, right? You got to mix it up. You got to make it exciting for your readers. And so let's look at this spread again from My Hero. And here you see a close up reaction of Deku's face, and then you see a long shot. And you can see the whole area. You can see the background. You can see how far the characters are from each other. You see a lot of action happening. And then you see a mid shot, right, of two characters together. Now you see another long shot, right? And there's a little bit of perspective, right? Like the camera is a little bit from the top. You can see again, like, what's happening, where they are. It's very clear, right? And then, you get like a slightly closer shot again of people's faces as they're talking. So there's a lot of variety. And you have to decide what kind of scene, what kind of camera angle, what kind of shot is going to work for your manga. Now, let me show you two ways to present the same characters and the same dialogue. So, here on the left, it's two characters, right? A girl and a boy, and they're talking. The guy says, "Want to go home together today?" And the girl says, "Sure." Right? And here on the left, it's one panel, feels very casual, right? But here on the right, now, this is way more dramatic, right? And notice how the mangaka even cut up the dialogue. So here, right, like let me translate this for you guys. It's in Japanese. You get a close up, right? Like a close up of the guy's face. Like, "Hey, do you want to go home together today?" And there's a pause even in the dialogue, and you see an even closer shot of the girl, and she's blushing and her eyes are wide, like she's probably excited. And then she says yes, and you have this long shot and you see where they are, and there's wind, blowing, and there's this whole mood that's created. And again, same characters, same dialogue, very different feeling. So you have to think about, what do you want to communicate in your panels? What's the mood you want to create, right? So when you are creating your storyboard, the first thing you need to do is draw out the thumbnails for all your pages, and then you evaluate. Are there redundant scenes or weird flows? Maybe you can make the storytelling a little bit tighter and you can combine the scenes together, right? So, and you can be very cutthroat here if you have to. You can delete whole pages, you can move around panels. So for example here, on page 6 and 7, the mangaka actually chose to delete this first panel on page 7 because it looked way too similar to page 6. And so, you want to have a little bit of variety there. Also, you want to see how everything looks as a spread, right? Pages on the right and pages on the left are not the same. So, your first panel on the right page, this is your entry panel, right? Like, so you gotta grab your reader's attention, set the scene again on this spread, and then the lowest panel on the left page, right? That's your exit panel. So here, you want to make sure that you set it up where readers want to turn the page. Maybe you have a little bit of a cliffhanger, right? And then your readers are just like, oh my gosh, give it to me. Like I gotta know, like, what did they see? Like, so yeah, yeah, there is a whole art to that page turner. So now let me show you guys a storyboard from our student Raven. So this is from her first one-shot manga. This is actually her very first spread. What do you guys think? Right? Like, let me know what you guys think of her spread in the comments. This is actually her first initial draft. And she actually sent this in. Our mentors gave her feedback. She worked with our mentors. She, actually like went through a couple of drafts a couple of times. And here is the final version of her spread. From 13 panels, she was able to bring it down to just 7. So I want to remind you, every panel matters and everything has to be intentional. Okay? Now, here's another storyboard from our student Courtney. So she had this spread. It was very climactic, like her characters were basically, killing off like the enemy. And she had this spread. And I thought it was like, wow, that spread is so powerful. I bet it can't get any better than this. But like our pro mangaka mentors gave her such awesome advice, and this was the final version of her storyboard. Right? Like it just became 100 times better when she added reaction shots, of her characters as they were doing that final blow. It became so much more powerful and it literally looked like a professional manga, right? So, what do you guys think, right? Like of these transformations from our student storyboards? Let me know in the chat. All right. So, during this storyboarding phase, don't be scared to edit, edit, edit. Your first draft will always need edits. And again, better now than later. It'll be even harder to edit beyond the storyboarding phase. After storyboarding, the next step is pencil sketches. So you need B4 size paper, right? Like, for your manga. And this will be printed in B5. So it's going to be a little bit smaller in the printed version. All right. You do not want to draw anything outside of these margins because it's going to be cut out. If you notice the larger margins on the left, this is around the spine of your manga. So it will be even harder to see. All right. Like, so you want to give some extra allowance over there. You can buy manga manuscript paper with these pre existing guidelines, or you can just get, the paper size on your digital program like Clip Studio. The Clip Studio, by the way, is like the go-to, like drawing software for our pro mangaka. So we do highly recommend it. After your pencil sketches are done, now you can start inking. And you want to ink your line art, your panel lines, speech bubbles, speed lines, and your beta. Beta is the pure black areas, like the guy's cap, the guy's hair, right? Like this is what you call beta. And again, like you can use Clip Studio Paint if you want to do it digitally. If you want to go old school and you want to ink it traditionally, then you want to go with dip pens, all right? Like don't go for the micron pens. They're a little bit more time consuming. So, dip pens are the go-to for mangakas, absolutely. You'll also use footed brush pens as well as white ink. So if you're drawing traditionally, you need that correction fluid, when you're reading manga and it looks so, so perfect. When you actually looked at the actual manuscripts, there's going to be a lot of like white ink there because like when pro mangakas, and they do make mistakes, by the way, they use white ink to correct that. They just draw over it. And when you print it out, you'll never even notice that there was actually a mistake there. So, last step is the finishing touches. All right. So, You can add screen tones to your manga, and these are basically made of tiny dots that create gray shading. They come in different patterns and designs. You can apply them digitally or traditionally. So, using screen tones adds more depth and helps create the mood for your scene. Especially if you want to create shoujo manga, like setting the mood is super duper important. So if you want to learn more about shading, about, applying screen tones, inking, you can check out some of our videos on our YouTube channel after this because we have like more detailed information there. And those are basically the seven main steps to create your manga. Right? We have ideation and planning, the writing, the visual design, storyboarding, pencil sketches, inking, and then your finishing touches or your shading. As a reminder, all right, you are not a pro mangaka yet. So do not expect or pressure yourself to go through this whole process in just 1 week or even 1 month. Okay? That's just not realistic. Creating a proper one shot is 10 times more stressful than just drawing characters. And it's especially even more stressful when you actually start working with an editor. So, if you want to become a professional mangaka, aim to create at least one finished one shot per year. So if at this point you are not at this pace, right, and you actually want to become a professional, then something has to change. We got to pick it up. We got to do something new, all right? And I know creating your own manga takes time, it takes effort, it takes commitment. And so you also have to deal with a lot of mental anguish, asking yourself, am I good enough? Am I doing it right? Is this even worth it? So I want to ask you, would you rather do it by yourself or would you rather have a proven path to success? Just like our student Amsar, who started off not feeling confident with his art. He felt like his style wasn't anime or manga enough. And, like we've worked with him, he's been able to improve his art skills. And he was finally able to join his very first manga contest just last month. He was able to join the silent manga edition and he was able to create his first manga in literally just 3 weeks. We've actually interviewed him on our channel. Or our student Carrot. Before we met him, he had been developing his story, his original character for years, but he didn't even have a single page out. And now he has his storyboards out and he's currently developing his scenes, his characters, his world building even more. Or our student Courtney, right? And she also had never made manga before, and now she has entered the Wordless Manga Competition. So, guys, if you want to get the same results as our students, you don't want to do it alone, you're tired of just DIYing this yourself, then we invite you to apply to our online one shot manga drawing program. So you will get to work with pro-Japanese mangakas Naoyazawa and Renesaya, who have a combined experience of over 50 years in the pro manga industry. You'll be working with the professional webtoon artist Steph Pastrano, as well as pro Viz Media mangaka Art Crumbs. They're currently working with the former editor in chief of Shonen Jump. So, guys, are you excited to work with these amazing mentors? If you are, please let me know in the chat. And you know what else is really exciting? We are going to create a personalized training plan that's customized to your current skills and goals, right? Like we're going to make this as custom as possible to make sure that you hit your goals and you get your manga out there. The thing is, we're not just taking in anyone because we believe the better the fit, the better the results. We want to work with aspiring mangakas who are ready to commit and challenge themselves to be the best that they can be. Want in? Here's how the process works. This is for you if you're at least 18 years old and can comfortably write and speak in English. Also, you have to be outside of like you have to have graduated of high school, right? Like, so 18 and out of high school, okay? This is for you if you're a beginner mangaka who feels lost and stuck and finally wants to feel confident putting your manga on paper and sharing your stories with the world. This is for you if you want the fastest path to gain the right skills to self publish, join manga contests, or even pitch to publishers. This is for you if you want mentorship from pro Japanese mangakas. This is for you if you want to join a community of fellow aspiring mangakas who are in this journey with you together and are going to help keep you accountable. If this sounds like you, then I invite you to book a free manga consultation call with us to see if we're a good fit to work together. We will only take in serious applicants, and we're actually closing consultation slots by March 7th. That's this Friday. So you guys only have less than a week to actually like get your consultation calls in. All right? So this is it, the moment of truth. Will you take action today? Or will you continue to stay stuck, struggling to get your manga out there, struggling with your skills, feeling insecure, feeling overwhelmed, doubting yourself? Or will you choose to empower yourself and actually get the right kind of mentorship that you need to finally get your first published manga out there? So, guys, if you are ready to finally take action, all you need to do is just click the link in the chat, right? So, let me send that in the chat. I'm going to pin this, okay? So, let me show you what happens when you click this link. This will redirect you to an application form, right? And we're going to ask you a couple of questions, so that we can learn a little bit more about your manga journey and we maximize the time that we have on the consultation call. All right. So please answer very carefully, right? Like, because again, we only take, yeah, like serious applicants, right? Like, so we get a lot of applicants, and I think like we only probably talk to about like 10% of people that actually apply, right? So this is it, right? Where will you be tomorrow if you start today? Take the leap. And guys, I just want to remind you, you lose all the shots you don't take. So take this shot because there's literally nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's free to apply. It's free to talk to us, right? So what have you got to lose? All right. So now I am opening the floor for our Q&A, right? Like, so, I'll open about like 8 minutes of Q&A. If you have any questions or concerns, please make sure to send them in the chat. I'd be very happy to answer them. Okay. And for those of you that are applying right now, please let me know in the chat as well, because I want to personally congratulate you. I want to acknowledge you for taking that leap of faith, right? And I know some people, like, sometimes like they feel nervous about doing something like this because it's something new, right? Like sometimes like you feel nervous talking to someone, but like I just again like want to acknowledge people that are overcoming, right? Like that sense of nervousness, that sense of insecurity to finally be able to move forward with their manga goals. All right. So, let me see. Zapstream said, I want to be the first popular South African mangaka to prove that it's possible for someone who is not Japanese to make it in the manga industry. Yes, Zapstream, that is perfect. All right, good. Really good to hear. Okay, Dark Astriel said, how do you get a job for manga? Great question, Astriel. Honestly, like there are different ways to do this. You can self-publish, you can work with a publisher, right? Like I would say like those are like the two main paths. Those are definitely like the two main paths, right? Like so I would recommend watching one of our videos how to publish your manga as a beginner to get an idea of like, where to get started. Incredulous said, "Do I have to draw manga like my life is on the line?" Um Not necessarily incredulous. To be honest, it depends on your goals, right? Like, and what you want to achieve, right? Like, so, like I said earlier, in our program, we customized your training menu depending on what you want to achieve. What's your timeline? How much time can you put into this, right? Like, where is your baseline, right? Like, where are you starting at? So, like it's really gonna depend on you and like what you want to do, right? And how much effort you can put into this. Zapstream said, is it possible for someone like me to make it in manga? Of course, right? Like everyone has potential. There's always a possibility. Absolutely. So 3L asks, what can you expect when you call in for a consultation? Will they expect you to have a finished one shot, or will it be like a class to improve your skills? Very good question, 3L, right? Like, so I want to make this clear. You do not need to have finished a manga top on this consultation call. All right. Like, we're going to help you make a manga. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, no, like my art skills aren't good enough, my storytelling skills, my writing skills, like, isn't good enough, like, am I good enough? Like, guys, like, we are here to help. We are here to help you gain those skills, right? Like, so who we want to talk to are people with potential, people that are willing to commit to this, people that are willing to work hard, right? Like, that's who we want to talk to, right? It doesn't matter where your skills are at. As long as you're willing to practice, then we're willing to teach. So 3L, oh, and also just to clarify, like this consultation call is not going to be a class, right? Like this is for us to figure out, okay, like can we help you? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to accomplish? Like what have you tried so far, right? So if we see that this is a good fit, we can actually help you. What you want to do is align with what we're also teaching, then we can talk about like the next steps, like if we want to move forward and like actually go to the classes. Is that clear, 3L? So let me know in the chats, okay? Like if I am able to answer your questions, like please let me know. Please type I'm good. If you have follow-up questions, like please also let me know. All right. So Shin said, I'm 16 and only have 3 free months until I have to go back to school. So unfortunately, Shin, right, like it sounds like you're a little bit too young. So what you can do is just watch our YouTube channel for now. Like we'll see you in 2 years. Okay. Um, I think like we also had Krishna like trying to join earlier, and she was asking about like the issue with her consultation call. Um, Krishna, if you're still here with us, we have told you a couple of times already, we only speak with people that are at least 18 years old. And it sounded like you are not 18 years old yet. So, guys, please, if you are not 18, do not lie about your age, because like it's not, yeah, it's not good, right? Like lying is not good, right? Like we're gonna wonder if we even want to work with someone who lies on the application form. So just wait, right? Just wait, just watch our YouTube videos, just come to our live Zoom trainings every weekend, and when you're 18, right, like we'll be ready for you, okay? So, okay, now let's go. Let me see. Let me just check out like the questions. Let me read some of the other questions and let's pick one out that's relevant for most people. Okay. So Tengiz asks, why only people over 18? So the reason why Tengiz, and I'm gonna be very honest, we have tried to work with people under 18, but it didn't go it didn't work out very well. Like it was harder for our younger students to actually pay attention. It was harder for them to actually stay consistent. So we just wanted to make sure that we work with people that were more responsible, also to respect the time of our mentors and coaches, right? So if you can stay consistent and by 18 you're still doing manga, right? Like, then we would be very happy to work with you. Okay. So someone said, sorry, I think Shub Joestar said, could you make a Discord server where we can share our arts, please? So great question. I mean, like great request. So we've actually heard this request a couple of times. So the reason why we do not have a public Discord server like this is because we want to concentrate and put all our efforts as much as possible into helping our existing students in the program actually create their first manga and get published. So if we create a Discord server where there are like hundreds, thousands of people, like chatting us every day, we have to manage that. Like we would not have enough time to actually like concentrate on our students, right? And again, we want to work with only serious people, and so, like the people that are in our program, they're crushing it. They are the people that we absolutely want to work with, right attitude, right mindset, right? Like it's just amazing to work with this community. So, and less stressful, so much easier for us, to be honest, right? Like so it's not about the number, right? Like, because like we have the YouTube channel to help as many people as possible. But when it comes to like our attention, our mentors' time, our coaches' time, right? Like we want to work with, again, like serious mangakas, right? Like that really want to be the best they can be. Okay. So, let's see. Frankie said, I'm finding it difficult to start my first one-shot manga. What should I do? Great question, Frankie. So, if you have, if you have, I think, okay, let me ask you this. Actually, like before I give you a suggestion, why? Right? I want to ask you why first. Why is it difficult? What's difficult about it specifically? Is it the writing? Is it the ideation? Is it because you're stuck in your head? What's the problem? Right? Like, let me know. And I think like I can give you like a better suggestion for this. Better yet, if you are already 18 years old and out of high school, I would highly recommend to book a free manga consultation call so that we can actually have a proper conversation about this, right? Like, because, like for me to give you the best path, I would need to know, all right, what is actually the problem? Okay. So, let me see. Okay. I think I think like I have answered most of the questions, all right? So I again, like for those people that I've already answered the questions, let me know if you guys are all good. Again, if you guys are 18 and above, you have more questions, please feel free to just book a free manga consultation call with us. Again, it's free, right? You literally have nothing to lose, and we can have like a proper conversation about what you're actually struggling with, and we can actually like figure it out better. All right. So, again, for those of you that have already sent in your applications, I just want to say congratulations. All right. So, for those of you that are sending in their application right now or have already sent in their application, can you let me know in the chat? Right? Because again, before we end, I just want to acknowledge you. I just want to congratulate you. All right. Okay. So, Okay, Soren Dark. Oh, perfect. All right. Congratulations, Soren Dark. Perfect, perfect. All right. So thank you so much to everyone who joined today. I hope you learned something new. I hope you can start making your first manga. And again, like we also have a lot of other tutorials on the channel. So after this, you can go straight and watch all those tutorials. All right. So thank you so, so much. Next week, by the way, at 7 p.m. Central Saturday, I think that's gonna be March 8th, right? March 8th, Saturday, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're actually gonna have an interview with our student Courtney. So she joined the Worldless Manga competition by Kadokawa. And she's gonna be sharing more about her journey, what she did, and her tips and tricks. So if you guys want to learn more about that, again, please make sure to watch out March 8th, Saturday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Okay? All right. So thank you so, so much, everyone. Keep drawing, keep practicing, keep making manga.